Fasting is more effective than a calorie deficit, but it needs.
Let's talk about what we do and do not know about fasting versus calorie restriction. This study looked at calorie restriction with or without time-restricted eating. Time-restricted eating is no more beneficial than continuous caloric restriction for body weight, body fat, or metabolic risk factors. And the randomized control trials suggest that the weight loss associated with intermittent fasting is due to a reduced caloric intake. Time-restricted eating doesn't overtly attempt to minimize energy intake, but participants typically reduce their energy intake by up to 566 or 30% of calories per day. With that being said, this meta-analysis of intermittent fasting on appetite actually indicated that intermittent fasting does not mitigate an increase in our drive to eat associated with energy restriction. So whether or not intermittent fasting reduces your caloric intake is likely extremely individualized and may work for some and not for others. The weight loss benefits associated with intermittent fasting are due to their effects on caloric intake, and fasting without caloric restriction will not lead to weight loss. When it comes to the highly touted autophagy, fasting or caloric restriction both induce autophagy, and since it is profoundly difficult to measure autophagy, we are not yet sure whether or not fasting induces more autophagy than the same amount of calories consumed throughout the entire day, or if the entire benefits of autophagy are due to caloric restriction. You may induce more autophagy over the course of 2 days if you don't eat anything than you would have if you were eating for those 2 days. But if you consume an excessive amount of calories for the next 5 days, and at the end of the 7 days you lose the same amount of weight with or without fasting, it's unclear and kind of unlikely that the group who fasted would have more autophagy than the group who did not fast. And the last note I'll leave you with is if you would like your cake but you would like to eat it too, exercise drastically increases autophagy much more than caloric restriction. With that being said, if you would like an individualized approach to your nutrition and lifestyle to optimize your health, energy, and body composition, send me a DM to sign up for coaching.